Family Mediation Counselling Service are a mediation service that works with couples who may be separating, be divorcing. And the aim of the service really is just to help them have some difficult conversations, which may be around finance, maybe around child arrangements. So essentially the aim here is to get both parties engaged. Now, as a mediation service, one of the priorities for us is to remain impartial. And that's so important, unlike a solicitor service that can be quite adversarial. So the aim is to meet with both of the parties to really try and understand what the issues are, what they're looking to achieve moving forward. And it's generally more about the future rather than the past, because the aim really is to try and remove as much emotion as possible in order to help those people understand what will happen with the children in terms of where they'll live, the contact arrangements between the parents, but then equally to look at how they can separate their finances. So when we meet with the individuals, we'll talk them through the process of the divorce itself, because since last April 2022, the divorce laws have changed. And this has had a massive beneficial effect in the fact that it's now non-conflictual. Previous divorce laws required that one of the couple would have to cite the reasons for the breakdown of marriage. And therefore that very often led to a form of conflict. So what we try and do now is reduce that conflict, and the new divorce laws really back that up. So a non-contested, non-conflictual divorce, which is really, really positive. So we now offer a new service, which is collaborative divorce. And that really is where both parties are in general agreement about how to divide their finances and also what needs to happen with the children. We just make sure that we help them through the process so that they can review all the information that needs to be considered. Once we've met the individuals, particularly with divorce and where finances are concerned, we then ask them to do a financial disclosure, which would include information around property, around accounts, bank accounts, investments, ISAs, national savings bonds. We then look at key assets, so that's anything valued over £500. So that could be a car, could be caravans, could be jewellery, sports equipment. And then we also look at the liabilities, and the liabilities therefore could be bank loans, HP agreements, credit card debt, just to really try and get a full picture. The final part of the jigsaw in terms of the financials is pensions. And pensions are very contentious issues for a lot of people, because generally when a couple have had children, one of the parents then will withdraw from the workforce to look after the children, whilst the other person who continues to work contributes to a pension. So therefore the law is very clear on this, that that pension may well be shared or offset against other assets. So once they've done the disclosures, we share those disclosures with each party, so they've got an understanding. Whilst there's a lot of common information, such as property, it gives a very, very clear picture, and that enables us then to essentially calculate a net worth of the marriage. And then the discussion that we have during a joint mediation meeting means that we go through each of those assets and liabilities to determine how those get divided up. Now, once agreement's been reached, what we always recommend is that they take some form of legal advice. But of course, the mediation process in and of itself is really positive, because up until the point of the agreement, solicitors aren't really needed. So therefore, there's a massive cost saving. Mediation fees are fixed. So you know exactly how much you're going to pay. Obviously, we can't determine how many joint meetings a couple may need, but very often 1, 2 are the average. So that keeps the cost right there. Once the agreement has been reached, any advice has been taken, then we as a service produce a document called a Memorandum of Understanding, which summarises those agreements in fine detail. We create it in such a format that this thing can be handed over to a solicitor, and the solicitor then would draft up a document called a financial consent order, which is a legal agreement between the two, which outlines exactly what will happen with those assets and liabilities. And once those are signed off by the parties, it then gets submitted to the courts as part of the divorce process. And the courts will look at that to make sure that there's a level of fairness, particularly where children are involved, because the housing needs of the children are paramount for the courts to consider. And once that's done, then the division of assets and liabilities can take place. That may include selling the property. It may include liquidating some of the assets. So it doesn't necessarily have to take place all in one go. Selling a house can often take several months to get completed. But the contracts will then enable and ensure that whatever's been agreed is fulfilled. And that's our service. It's very, very simple. It's very, very straightforward. It can happen quite quickly. Obviously, if agreements can't be reached, then by the fact that they've attended the mediation process, we can then sign off the necessary paperwork to allow them to make an application to the courts. The courts decide. But what we find is with financial remedy as part of a divorce, that when both parties engage, the success rate is way above 95%. So very few cases end up going into court, which of course is a positive, and it reduces the cost significantly. Quotes on how much it costs to go to court vary. The actual court fees themselves are quite small, a couple of £100, but it's the cost of legal representation that really drives in the cost, and it can be several thousand, if not tens of thousands of pounds. So of course the advantage of mediation is that it's fixed fee, it's done very quickly, and the conclusions are normally very, very positive.